igebengu eziningi inkabi ziphuma KwaZulu-Natal. Funa ukuyiphinda nikhona.
Good morning, guys. Good morning once again. Welcome to South Africa Lately, a channel that discusses South African trending news. We do, however, grab here and there from international news when it is trending enough to be brought here. Please do understand that I am not a politician. I do not have deep knowledge in politics. However, I am a South African citizen who is also a voter, and I do believe that my views count when it comes to political affairs of our gorgeous country. I'm sounding much better now. Yeah, I like the way I sound. With the most huge deep voice, one is recovering from that heavy flow that I came back with from my village, you see. So it has been said for so many times that KZN is the most armed province, KZN is the most violent province, but is it? Sometimes when I look at what is happening in Cape Town and the Eastern Cape, sometimes I'm like, maybe KZN is not the most violent province. But anyway, using the context of KZN being the violent province, as they say in South Africa, but why KZN why is KZN like that? Where did it come from? Why out of all the provinces KZN is said to be the most violent? Please understand my keywords, because sometimes I do disagree with that view, but I am talking about something that is being said by the people who have the statistics, and I don't. So I'm going to use what they're saying to allow us to talk about this. Do you agree that KZN is the most violent province in South Africa? Please kindly share your views in the comment section. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to share with you what I picked up from the news on this, as well as I'm going to bring to you those 1.5 million rounds of ammunition that we looted in KZN, and Julius Malema telling us why is KZN the most violent province or the most armed province in South Africa. And I'm going to correlate, I'm going to get another information from somewhere which I'm going to read to you and see if there's a correlation between what Julius Malema said and the information that I'm going to read to you. And right at the end, I'm going to share with you a video clip of women just playing with guns like so casually, as they normally say in isiZulu, when something is in excess, something is just too much of it, they say beyidlala abantwana. So you kind of see such kind of a thing is zidlala abantwana.
1.5 million rounds of ammunition looted. What explanation has the police given?
Well, thanks, Clement. So in the Portfolio Committee meeting today, I challenged SAPS to provide us with as much information as they possibly can about these very serious allegations, and they confirmed in the meeting that it was in fact true that 1.5 million rounds of ammunition were stolen from an industrial park in Durban, and that this shipment is alleged to have been destined for the South African Defence Force. Now, what we are disappointed in is the fact that the South African Police Service did not take the opportunity to fully brief us on the potential involvement of the South African Police Service itself, because it is understood that this shipment, as you could understand, was under heavy protection by the South African Police Service, given the nature of the shipment, as well as the context in which we find ourselves now. You can imagine the impact of 1.5 million rounds of ammunition finding its way into the conflict that we've seen over the last week, as well as the possible links to state officials and certainly former state officials who've been involved in coordinating this violent unrest.
Yeah. What were the circumstances? When did the looting happen? And are there any links to the crisis that we saw unfold in the country over the last week?
Well, it's alleged to have unfolded about 48 hours ago, around Tuesday night, early hours of Wednesday morning. Becky Pele has confirmed that 10,000 rounds were found, but obviously, that's by far the minority of the ammunition that is out there on the streets and still not been retrieved. It's alleged that the shipment was actually destined for Cape Town, which begs the question why it ended up in Durban.
KZN and its killings is access to guns. Now, the guns were sent to KZN by the Apartheid regime.
Yes.
You see the way the trucks are queuing to Richards Bay to take coal. There were trucks queuing like that, sending weapons into the KZN. Those weapons were never recovered.
That's it.
Yeah, so they have access to firearms with ease. In Sishiu, we don't have access to firearms. If the biggest weapon we have is Okapi or something, will stab you, what. But firearm we've never seen. No one has ever claimed to know guns. Because it was a deliberate military action. How do you resolve it? You need to resolve it militarily. We need to get the army into a KZN unannounced national search day. The army, the police, we attack it, we get into houses, Indian, white, colored, African, we don't care. We look for this. Why? Mandela said, throw them into the sea. Not a single gun was thrown into the sea. We will never resolve that killing in KZN if there is no military operation to go and recover those guns. But lastly, because these were procured by apartheid government, the South African National Defence Force somehow should be having receipts of what kind of armaments were sent into KZN. And these guns, they were not only given to the IFP. The ANC was a killer the same way as the IFP. Not one of them will claim to be more peaceful than they were killed, they killed. Then they retreated, gave the hostels the firearms. We need to go and raid that in the hostels and recover these firearms. Because in the hostels, they don't do it the way, they don't kill each other in the hostels. But they get procured to go and kill other people. They are called Inabis. They are taken from a hostel to go and...
Let us read to see if this has got anything in common with what Julius Malema said. Historical violence and political conflict. KZN has a history of political violence, particularly during the 1980s and early 1990s between supporters of the Inkatha Freedom Party, IFP, and the African National Congress, ANC. This led to the widespread arming of communities. By who, though? Who armed the communities? With weapons like homemade kwasha, guns, and later AK-47s and other rifles distributed or smuggled into the region. Who was distributing? Because Julius Malema there talks about trucks that were taking weapons to KZN, and also he said because those weapons were procured by the defense, the Department of Defense. You see, anyway, many of these weapons, including estimated 3,000 G3 rifles issued by the Kwazulu-Natal police to civilians, guys, remain unaccounted for and fuel the illegal arms market. So when you hear people saying, let us forget about apartheid, it has been 30 years already, and when you read things like this that are still not resolved and that are still having a negative impact on the people, how do you forget that? Number two, high crime rates and self-defense. KZN experiences high levels of violent crimes, including murder, robbery, and gender-based violence. South Africa ranks 10th globally for murder rates, with KZN seeing significant gun-related injuries, an 800% increase in gunshot wounds from 1985 to 1995. The perception that police cannot adequately protect citizens, highlighted during the 2021 unrest in KZN in Gauteng, drives residents to arm themselves for self-defense. Armed community groups formed to protect businesses and homes during the period, reflecting distrust in law enforcement. So this self-protection and the community being armed to protect the businesses and whatnot, is it not the same thing that has now given us the extortionists? And now you have a whole long list of who to blame, like the lack of law enforcement. You blame the police, you blame the government for the situation that we're currently in. I'm talking about extortion now. And number 3, we have proliferation of illegal firearms. An estimated 3.8 million unregistered firearms circulate in South Africa. Guys, hey, this is serious. Hey, Mozambique and Zimbabwe with KZN as a hub due to porous borders and smuggling from neighboring countries like Mozambique, illegal arms, including those from state stockpiles or smuggled during Apartheid era conflicts, contribute significantly to the gun problem. Police recovered over 1.5 guns in KZN between August and November 2024, indicating the scale of illicit circulation. Hey guys, ndiyadikwa kufunda izinto engaske ningazifundi, because this is depressing. As much as I want to pass the information to you guys so that we all know what is happening if you happen to watch this video, but at the same time, these are the things that I regret, that make me regret taking this time to be a content creator, because guys, no, certain things that I read about when I go to bed, I do think about them, and that affects me. And once you see them, there's no way you can unsee them. At number 4, cultural and social factors. Gun ownership in South Africa, including KZN, is often tied to a culture of self-reliance and necessity, particularly in response to crime. Sorry guys, that was bad reading. In KZN, this is compounded by a diverse gun-owning demographic, including historical white Afrikaner communities, an increasing number of black and female owners. 19% of gun owners were women in 2014. Organizations like Girls on Fire in KZN promote gun ownership among women for self-defense against rampant sexual violence. Hey, you see, I don't know, I'm still uncomfortable around people who have guns. I don't know whether it's me. Please, if you also feel the same, like once I know that you have a gun, even if it's a legal gun, I get a bit uncomfortable. And also, I think to myself, if I were to have a gun, maybe paranoia would catch me. I think there'd be somebody entering my house, and then out of paranoia, I accidentally shoot my own people. You know, there's a lot of things that go into my mind with gun ownership. Number 5, lax regulations and corruptions. While the Firearms Control Act of 2000 tightened gun laws, enforcement has been inconsistent. Corruption in licensing and a backlog in processing applications have allowed illegal firearms to proliferate. Some ex-post suggest criminals exploit this by registering security companies to acquire guns, particularly in KZN. The less restrictive licensing system post-apartheid also saw a rise in black gun ownership, with 28% of South African Gun Owners Association members being black by 1993. Organized crime and gang activities. KZN's high crime syndicates involved in activities like vehicle hijacking and cash in transit heists rely heavily on firearms. The durability and easy trade of guns, combined with lax border control, make KZN a hotspot for illegal arms market. Hey guys, so with all of this, it always goes back to me. I always blame the way this country has been governed, the way everything has been just weak over so many years. And when the damage is this broad, it is going to be difficult for anybody or for any government to get this back in order or to deal with this the way it's supposed to be dealt with. So anyway, that means we're going to continue living like this for the longest time with the guns everywhere. I'm making this video because of the experience that I had 2 weeks ago going into the township and they were shooting guns carelessly. I thought there was a robbery or somebody was about to be shot, and everybody that was from that township was chilled. So if people have reached a level whereby a gun can be, guns, not even one gun, guns can go off like that and they are relaxed, the seriousness of owning a gun goes a bit down. and there is no longer serious about having a gun, and also that will lead to using it carelessly. That's my take. Like, as they always say, guys, as they always say, izinto zidlala abantwana, as you see there, as you see right there, when something is in excess, like when something is very easy to get and everybody gets it, that's why you end up like this. So the fear of having a gun or the fear of being around guns, it looks like it has gone out through the window. Like, can you see? I don't care. There's a possibility that there are no bullets in those things, but I would never carry. And there's a high possibility that there's a gun, there are bullets in there as well, because of the experience that I had 2 weeks ago. We were shaken. We were shaken. I don't want to lie. As people who don't live there, we were shaken. And the people who live there, who are our people, our relatives, and the people who live there, they were relaxed. They're like, no, these things happens all the time. That yo. Njani niqhele into efana nale? Njani kungabikho nto nje kuthintayo xa usiva le nto? Like, anyway, guys, if you watched up to here, thank you for watching my videos, and I'll be seeing you in my next upload.